irrigation pump, a sawmill or a shearing shed. This is a power pack 1912 style. The big flywheel at the back is driven by the big mechanical part on the top, the steam engine. The steam is generated in the boiler, which is the locomotive style boiler there below. Drawn by 6 horses from place to place. When they moved it, the men would lower the chimney and the yoke at the back and then sit on the chimney and drive the horses sitting on the chimney with their feet on the smoke box just there. Little engine here made in England in 1870. It's a overhead crank engine of a new style made in that period, exhibited in Vienna at the Great Exhibition in 1873, where it won a gold medal for its compactness and innovation, a new design, 1870 style. It's a bit squeaky this morning like me. At the back of the display is a live steam model made by 2 14-year-old twin brothers. Their mum was the stewardess on the original ship, the Aurora. That took you from Sydney to Coffs Harbour and Byron Bay, sometimes to Brisbane. The ship was endowed with electric lighting and the Marconi radio. This is the type of steam engine they had on board with a generator here. We have to bring the generator up to speed. The generator has to get excited, so it's starting to excite. Now we're making electricity, we can light up the engine room and the promenade deck. And while they were at sea, the whole ship was lit by incandescent light bulbs. And it was a great attraction for people to travel on it, considering that central Sydney in the time was still gas lit. Your buggy may have had a candle, your bicycle. My grandmother's outdoor lighting device called a wee willy winky. The candle always blew out as she went to open the door, so she had a packet of matches and a kerosene lamp there. We have an arc generator here called a Jacob's ladder. A man was working out the pressure of electricity. What is the pressure? The pressure is measured in volts. This is 15,000 volts. That'll jump 52 millimetres. Double that, it'll double the distance, triple it and so on. It's a no-brainer. But at the time, they needed to know those things. So he set up 2 electrodes and spread them apart until it failed. What's happening is hot air rises, so the arc forms, heats the atmospheric air to white hot, 1200 degrees, and instantly starts to climb as it heats. At the same time, the arc converts the air that we breathe into ozone, 3 oxygen. So it's quite an interesting experiment with all those bits and bobs attached to it. We have a little generator here which, when operating, will energise the magnet. The magnet will only work when there's electricity. The little bottle engine here, made in 1880 in New York, was once in the first skyscraper in the world in Chicago. It was there to drive a fire pump. Just get this going now. There we go. Very good, squeaky. We have electricity available now to energise the magnet. We turn the switch off, the electricity fails. So in 1880 there's another new thing you can do, is you can energise a big scrap magnet that'll pick up tons and tons of scrap, picking up very heavy objects like my centre pot there on the end of the magnet. So if the electrical field is strong enough, it'll lift massive amounts on tiny, looks like tentacles hanging off an octopus. This engine here is out of a paddle steamer made possibly in about 1880 at Goolwa in South Australia. It's 2 cylinders. It drives a big chain above around a big sprocket, and that'll drive the pulley. So we'll bring this up to speed. The captain's in the wheelhouse. He's ordered full ahead. We're up and away. He goes around the bend and sees a snag. We're going to stop quickly. He orders the engineer, full astern! Jumps to his station, reverses the engine, the paddles pour on the water, the ship shudders and shakes. We come to a stop, we can see if everything's okay, we go back the other way with equal alacrity. That funny little nodding mechanism there in 1843 put the Industrial Revolution into overdrive. It improved shipping, mining and railways materially at the time. The poor old captain on the Titanic, making 63,000 horsepower, ordered the engines full astern using Stephenson's link motion. We're going to demonstrate the pumping engine off the ship here. The ship was made during the Second World War in Glasgow to war finish. This is a condenser return pump. Duncan will pull that up to speed. And when they were at sea, that would pump millions of litres of salt water back into the ocean. So when they would use that continuously, a pair of these would be working. The salt water would flow into the condensers and the steam would be cooled, and then the fresh water put back into the boiler, and the salt water went overside as hot waste. Little engines like the Aurora of 1,260 tonnes would be put out of action with a deck cannon on the U-boat. A big shell like this would be used, and they would put that into the engine room right underneath the funnel. That would blow up the middle of the ship, and the men would scramble to the fire pumps and try and put the fire out. There's a steam fire pump there, and they would, if they could put the fire out, the ship would remain floating and they would be saved. One of the last engines I can demonstrate is an ash hoist engine off a coastal collier that went from Newcastle to Ultimo Power Station in Sydney. They would get rid of the ash from the stoke hole below with an ash hoist engine and dump the ash into the ocean over the side of the ship. Not very good practice nowadays, but that's what they did back then. So this is the engine that'll lift the weight. The weight is held off by the steam, and the ash is dumped overboard, and then the weight is we can lower back down using the steam to control the descent nice and gently like that. There's some of the engines I can demonstrate for you this morning. I've got some things for the children now, little faces there. Shut that off for a second. These are some experiments. This is special for the little faces. Look, this is my little clown. Do you want to see? Oh, would you like to see him? Nice lady. Huh? Is that good, is it? Woo! Oh, look at that. Woo! Around he goes. Nice old lady gave that to me. Her dad made it for her when she was a little girl. Nice old dad. This is an experiment, children. We're watching this. This is about gravity. People didn't understand how the world worked once upon a time, and gravity was important for us. It has to be a force that we can understand. So Galileo, having invented the telescope, went up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and he was testing the power of gravity. So I'm going to let go of these two weights. What do you think will happen when I do that?
They will fall.
They'll fall, and they'll make a noise, because you can't release energy without making a noise. But the most important thing was they both fell together. And he then took a feather and he dropped the feather and it fell at the same speed. And that proved his theory that if gravity wasn't equal for all matter, the world would be a difficult place to live in. Now we've got another one here. This is the Bernoulli effect. Hurrah! Now, we have a high velocity jet of air here at low pressure. Can't see it, but there it is there now. So the effect is the high velocity jet of air will pull the ball will always want to stay in the middle, you see? So not much of an idea at the time. Duncan likes the ping pong ball the most. Is that good? When that was invented in 1735, they didn't have any use for the idea, but later the petrol engine was developed. They needed to carburate the petrol using a venturi, and the Bernoulli effect that allowed the carburetor to atomise the fuel and the engine to run properly. Another man was trying to get an aeroplane to take off, and it wouldn't take off until he had high and low pressure zones on the wings using the Bernoulli effect. So that's very interesting. What's the kids, you like the ball trick? They're good? Okay, thank you all for coming. Anybody want to see the workshop? We can go over and have a look at that now. Okay. Just come inside. Have a little look around. We usually have the door open. It's a bit cold, probably today. We actively restore and make things here for the railway. As my father Douglas here, the steam locomotive we've made for the railway. He goes up and down the mountainside for special occasions. And my mother Ruth here, the power generating set. These are modern build replica machines of an American carousel engine. So in America, you go to a circus and they'd have a merry-go-round and all the lights are glowing by the gen set, which was steam powered. So that's the boiler in the middle with the wooden cladding on it. The two brass cylinders drive the engine and the belt drives the generator, and we make electricity. So that's that there. This here is a ship's engine room without the ship. I don't have a ship, but we have a steamship engine made in the colony out of English parts for the gold rush. And it was sent to Cooktown in far north Queensland, and the ship sunk in 1907, and the engine was taken out and put in a shed and forgotten about until 2007. So we restored the engine to get it all going again. So there you are, there's a few things there. Any little children want to stand on the footplate for a photograph, being the engine driver? Pop up there, Dad, take a photo. Sorry, you can touch things, it won't go. Anybody got any questions? The cross shaft with a chain drive, which gives the reduction of 2 1/4 tonne, and that smooths the torque out of it. It would pull direct drive, and I want to spin the wheels all the time. So if I can get it to go pipe, the steam pipe, but we close off the steam in the valve there, pipe under there with a valve in it, right in the middle. So the exhaust comes together. The air comes in through the brake. You can bring that on and stop with that, with the throttle shut. But you usually stop with that and then bring the other one on. But if you do Swiss engineering, and that,